Well, it is Tuesday, July 30th, and can you believe it? Riding Shotgun with Tupper is back. Holy cow, it has been a long time. The main thing that happened was our spring was so wet and muddy that I could not get back here on the trail for the longest time, and it just got crazy. And then some other things were going on, just busy with this, busy with that, and then some changes down at the paper with people who have helped me download this thing and get it up and running and all that stuff, since that's not my forte. But anyhow, finally we're here a couple days before the start of Illini football training camp, and I will be going over there Friday with Herald and Review's Joey Wagner to see day one of Camp Lovey. I think everybody's going to be curious to see Brandon Peters, the transfer quarterback from Michigan, and see whether or not he can move with his legs. I think everyone's going to be curious to see Isaiah Williams, the heralded recruit from St. Louis, to see what he can do throwing the ball against college defenders. In fairness, Matt Robinson and Karan Taylor are still in the mix here. I didn't think Karan Taylor would be in the mix. And I give him a lot of credit because, I like kids that bet on themselves, and that's what he's doing here. He's saying, I think I can win this job, we don't know what's going to happen in this quarterback race over the next few weeks, but I think most people expect it to be between Brandon Peters and Isaiah Williams, and I don't know if that's right, and I will start forming some opinions on Friday. I'm also anxious to see all these transfers and what they look like. Do they look like they can make an impact and be part of the program? And then I'm anxious to watch Lovey. I think this is Lovey's time to make an impact. Lovey was a really good defensive coach in the NFL. He was a good defensive coordinator. He's going to be the defensive coordinator from the start this year. It wasn't until almost the end of October that Hardy Nickerson resigned and Lovey took over, but let's see what he can do from the start. His personnel is better. They're older. They're bigger. They're more knowledgeable about what he wants done. And now I think it's up to Lovey to exert his defensive magic, if you will, and begin to show that this is a defense that can play at the Big Ten level, because last year they were awful. You can't, at least they were awful much of the time. They had some moments when they did some things, but you can't give up 63 points 3 different times and think that you're going to compete in this league. There's just no way. And that all has to be in the rearview mirror. And we need to start seeing a different swagger, a different execution, a different level of personnel. And we'll get to see a glimpse of that on Friday. I don't know how much we'll see of anything Friday, but we'll get enough to whet our appetite, that's for sure. And plus we'll be kind of relearning numbers, on the roster. I think those of us who've covered and I don't even count myself in that any longer since I'm theoretically retired, but who have covered the team regularly, you sort of pride yourself on knowing the roster, and yet at day one at training camp, you're always like, oh, wait a minute, who is 47? Who is, 81? Who is that number? And so we'll relearn the roster, plus all these incoming freshmen and all these transfers. And so that will be part of the deal on Friday. It's open to the public. If you're so inclined, come on out. I love where they have it now. I was not a big Camp Rantoul fan. I like this right down the block from Memorial Stadium, just to the east, and on those grass fields, and I think that's been a nice setting. I think they feel comfortable there. I know Lovey feels comfortable there, and so we'll be back down there right away, and then off some positive recruiting news with C.J. Dixon's commitment, the quarterback from Georgia. Big kid, 6'5", 210, has played very little high school football. He's coming from a program that turns out a lot of good players, and in those kinds of programs, sometimes you just have to wait your turn, and it's his turn. But people who have seen him and seen what kind of an athlete he is, and people who talk to the coaches in this very good program, have a pretty good projection on what he will be, which is why he had offers from Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State, and to get a commitment for Lovie and Rod Smith. I think that's a really great get, and he's still a year off, but that's good news. Plus, they added an offensive lineman, and man, I'm sure you all know this. You can never, ever get enough linemen. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen. If somebody tells you they got plenty of linemen, they just got a line, no. You cannot get enough linemen. You get 15, and then all of a sudden you think we don't have enough. And it takes time to bring them along, and most of them are going to redshirt early, and there's going to be injuries, and there's going to be other subtractions for one reason or another. And so to get an offensive line commitment is good, and to now let's get more. But that was pretty good news there, and so Friday I'm excited, anxious to begin hearing about and soon see the Performance Center, the football building that's pretty much completed, and the players are going to get a look at it, and I'm anxious to see the inside of it. I hear it's really great, and so we will see there. On the other side of the road, basketball side of the street, I followed Jamal Walker, assistant coach, on Twitter, and was and was surprised and enjoyed seeing Jamal's sort of touristy photographs of the beautiful scenery in Greece. And that's where Jamal is on a recruiting trip, because there's a FIBA event going on there, and you go to where the players are. And Illinois, Brad said recently, we're going to recruit the world, and he wasn't kidding. And they're recruiting a kid from Russia, they're recruiting a kid from France, they're recruiting a handful of kids from Canada, from the Dominican Republic, from that other country called the United States. And Jamal's out there trying to make some things happen. And then word that they're involved with and sound like they're excited about a Division III guard who is transferring, Austin Hutcherson from Wesleyan University in Connecticut, a 6'6" guard who sounds like he deserves to be playing at a level above Division III. And I'm a big Division III fan with Milliken here in town, but this is a kid that apparently either didn't get the Division I offers or didn't want to go that route, but now sees that he's better than that. 20 points a game last year, can rebound and pass and shoot, and Brad loves his long guards, so they're excited about him coming in for a visit. And I would say that if they can get him, then he'll be an addition to the roster, a surprise addition, and that's pretty cool as they get ready for the Italy trip, and go over there and play some international competition, experiment with the new three-point line, experiment with combinations. How are you going to use Georgie and Kofi together? Who really steps up and makes a statement to Brad that says, hey, whatever you thought I was last year, I'm like way better than that this year. I'm a big fan of hoping that Tevian Jones is one of those people, that Alan Griffin is one of those people. I expect Georgie to be improved. I just think there's a whole different feeling about Illinois basketball right now. Everywhere I go, there's a buzz building, there's an excitement building. I think expectations are climbing. I think nationally a lot of people are slow to see what's going on, and that's fine. Doesn't really matter. But I like this team. I like the way this roster's come together, and I hope we learn some things. More importantly, I hope Brad learns some things on this Italy trip about what he can do, what he doesn't want to do. It's a great opportunity to use Italy as a classroom, experiment, learn, tweak, and then come back home and have a much better idea of what you want to do and what maybe you thought you wanted to do, but now you're not so sure. Maybe you're going to go in a little different direction heading into the fall. I just think that's going to be an awesome time. And if Lovie can just, if they can get this thing going a little bit, we might be turning the corner on the two programs that Josh has really rolled the dice on here, and I'm hopeful that happens. So Thanks for riding along. I'll just comment on a couple of other things. Elphaba, our dog, is not along today because I've had her out here the last couple nights, and I can't keep her out of the creek, and I can't keep her from rolling in deer poop. And I don't know why dogs like to roll in poop, but they do. They like to roll in poop, and they like to roll in dead animals. And I don't think it's just my dogs that like to do it, but I don't have the time today to give her a bath, so at night I've had the time, so she didn't get to go. Very disappointed she was when she heard we were going to resume riding shotgun. Our crops are in. I don't know how much of them you could see. I'm going by a bean field right now, and their beans are coming along. We didn't get our crops planted until very late. I think that's true of an awful lot of people. I think our beans were in on, I'm going to say June the 3rd. Our corn is doing great. Really like the way it looks. It's gotten dry, and I'm not complaining because I was complaining so much about how wet it was. And but we got a little bit of rain yesterday. We could use more, but it's great to see the crops up and looking pretty good. So anyhow, thanks very much for your patience, and I'll try to post some shotguns with some regularity. It might be every 2 weeks. I'm thinking, I want to get over there to practice. Maybe if we do one in 2 weeks, we'll have some word on Italy, and we'll certainly know a little bit more with what we've seen with our own eyes about the progress in football training camp. And I would hope that I'd be able to get a tour of the Performance Center over there too, and can talk to you a little bit about that. But thanks for riding along. Appreciate it a lot, and have a great week, everybody.